Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Tea from the Galaxy, a thirst-quenching podcast for the girls, gays, theys, and astrology baes, where we talk about anything and everything through an astrological lens. Welcome to the August 2026 horoscope. We are in eclipse season this whole month, okay? So, off rip, let me say this about this, because I always say this about eclipse season. How do I maneuver eclipses? I maneuver them by having a let go, let God mentality. And when I say God, meaning any type of higher power that you believe in, God, the universe, whatever. Because there's going to be a lot shifting, and a lot shifting very quickly. And it's going to feel like an upside down, holy shit, what the fuck is happening, out of my control type of shifts, because there's going to be a lot of karmic things that are happening, because that's what eclipses and eclipse season brings. Karmic fated changes. So the more that you're pushing against the grain, the harder that this time period is going to feel. The more that you're in a state of flow, and you kind of like sit back and have the mentality of, okay, what is the universe trying to show me right now by bringing this into my life or making this leave my life, the more easier and smoother things are going to feel, because you're not so stressed about trying to control things that are genuinely out of your control right now. With that being said, that is the vibe for this month. Off rip, a lot of faded changes. Could feel crazy, could feel like out of left field, but it's all in, or going to be in, alignment for your higher self and your higher purpose and the betterment for your future self. So always keep that in mind as well. If things feel crazy, you will figure out why the craziness is happening in the near future, especially because this eclipse season that's happening this month is the start of one and the ending of another eclipse. So we are having our first solar eclipse in Leo of the Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle that's going to be now starting and in full swing from now until 2028. And we are having the last lunar eclipse in Pisces, and this eclipse cycle started fall 2024. So a lot of cycles ending, a lot of new cycles beginning, and yeah, try and keep an optimistic mindset. Feel excited. Don't go into eclipse season feeling scared. I don't like the fear mongering that eclipse season can bring. To start off this horoscope, I do like to give a breakdown of the astrology of the first day of the month, so we can kind of understand and see what is the energy walking into this month. So the sun will be in Leo at 9 degrees, moon in Pisces at 17 degrees, Mercury in Cancer at 20 degrees, Venus in Virgo at 24 degrees, Mars in Gemini at 23 degrees. All right, that's a harsh Venus-Mars square happening at the beginning of the month. Could bring a lot of tension in relationships, a lot of pressure, ultimatums in relationships. Also could bring aggression to power struggles, power plays. So definitely be aware of that. But this is definitely a pressure makes diamonds type of aspect that's affecting our relationship. So I can see a lot of like relationships being on the line at the beginning of the month, or just needing more energy to make relationships work. Also, being more sexual in relationships could help, with this pressure as well. It could help, ease the tension, just saying. Jupiter in Leo at 7 degrees. So that's nice, touching the sun. That's definitely bringing a little bit more luck and optimism in the beginning of the month as well. Saturn in Aries at 14 degrees retrograde. Uranus in Gemini at 5 degrees. Neptune retrograde in Aries at 4 degrees. And Pluto retrograde in Aquarius at 4 degrees. And the North Node is now in Aquarius at 29 degrees. So the North Node is no longer in Pisces, which has been for the past year and a half. So this is also a huge energetic shift as well. The North Node is a point in astrology that represents our higher purpose and higher destinies, and it is now in Aquarius. This is a collective change. We are all now needing to focus on a different area of our lives and a different purpose of our lifetimes as well. So huge collective shift right there. So that's, the first few days of the month, that's the energy that's happening. And honestly, up until the 6th, like the first week, that's the vibe, that's the energy. On August 6th, Venus, the planet of love, relationships, beauty, and finances, moves into Libra. This is also a nice aspect as well because Venus feels at home in Libra. Venus loves being in Libra because it feels like it's flirty, flirtatious, lovable, aesthetically pleasing self. Okay, so this is honestly a nice time. The end of July, first few days of August, relationships definitely feel very tense. Venus then moving into Libra and is going to be there until, pretty sure the rest of the month. Yeah, it's going to be there until September 10th. So it's going to be there for the rest of August. Is definitely nicer for our relationships because it's going to feel more romantic for sure. When Venus is in Libra, we are now more focused on bringing harmony. So prior, like the couple weeks prior, maybe months prior, because it was Mercury retrograde happening too, we were definitely feeling a little bit more tense. Relationships felt maybe more of like a roller coaster, felt more emotional. Now Venus entering Libra is definitely going to make things feel like, all right, like, let's bring the harmony back into our lives. Like, I actually only want to prioritize peace. I only want to prioritize like making things right with the people in my life now. And then it brings that romance too. Like, let's go on a nice dinner date. Let's get dressed up. Let's be a aesthetically pleasing couple. When I think of Venus and Libra, I think of like those couples that like to wear matching outfits or like coordinate, outfits. Like, that's the vibe that it gives me. Working on bringing harmony back into your relationships. And balance as well. Libra is represented by the scales, constantly finding balance. Okay, how can we bring balance and happiness back into this relationship as well? Is it by having more date nights? Is it by bringing romance back into our life? Especially when Venus was just in Virgo, like prior to that, it wasn't a romantic time. Like, Venus in Virgo is definitely not the most romantic time period, and it's harmonious in relationships. It feels more tense. It feels like you're more in like a business partnership, or you're worried about more serious things or worried about money. Venus moving into Libra is definitely like feels much better romantically. On the same day, the sun in Leo is in a harmonious trine with Saturn retrograde in Aries at 14 degrees. Saturn brings serious topics, but with that trine there, it's kind of like, okay, I feel good in this new position at my job. Like, I feel confident in this relationship and that's the fact that it's getting more serious. I feel more confident moving and conquering this next step of life. Whether it's with the person, whether on your own, like things, more serious topics are going to be brought up, or mature, or maybe more responsibility on your plate. But with that trine, especially to the sun in Leo, because during Leo season, we're already feeling as a collective a little bit more confident and optimistic. I do like that confidence that this brings. Like, I do believe in myself and being able to conquer this next chapter of life that might have a lot of responsibility or might bring a lot of pressure or limelight on me, but I feel like I can handle it and I feel like I'm ready. On the 9th, Mercury moves into Leo. Mercury is the planet of communication. It's how we connect with one another, is how we communicate with one another. But it will immediately form a square to Chiron in Taurus, like immediately. So when Mercury is in Leo, it's definitely speaking more confidently, speaking more boldly, saying what's on your mind, wanting to be heard, wanting your voice to be heard, wanting to be listened to. It can be blunt, but that's because we're going to be speaking more from our hearts. And sometimes because of that, we are not really filtering out, like it gives like foot and mouth syndrome. I think anytime Mercury is in a fire sign, I always say it kind of gives foot and mouth syndrome. Like, you will say something and be like, ugh, should I have said that? But that's because you're genuinely talking from your heart, but that doesn't mean that it won't hurt some feelings, So that is like the downside to Mercury and Leo. Sometimes you'd be saying things and you're like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't have said that. But it is the truth, and it is generally how I feel at the end of the day, I will say, like, Mercury and Leo over the next 3 weeks this month, There's no like really second guessing what someone is saying. It's kind of like, oh, like you must be speaking the truth right now. Leo is represented by the lion. So you will hear me roar. You're going to see a lot of people like really speaking their truths, but a lot of like aggressive talking as well. A lot of stubborn thinking as well. Sometimes it takes a Mercury and Leo person a little bit of time to understand another person's perspective, especially if they feel very strongly about their opinion and how they feel. So definitely a little bit more patience during this time and awareness of, maybe I need to put myself in this other person's shoes so I can understand their perspective. Like maybe I'm not always right. Okay. So definitely keep that in mind. But that immediate square to Chiron on the 9th, Chiron is an asteroid in astrology that represents our subconscious deepest wounds. So these wounds get activated because they're subconscious wounds. They get activated when there's aspects like this that's happening, especially a square, because a square is a tense aspect. So a square brings pressure. A square is like, yeah, we're going to fucking deal with this right now, and it's going to feel tough, but it's because we're meant to evolve from that pressure. Pressure makes diamonds. That's how we describe squares in astrology. Like it's not meant to be all bad. It's meant so you could really mature from this and learn from this, and while working with Chiron, so you can not only heal yourself, but heal other people around you. Because when other people see that you're healing yourself, you become an inspiration for them to heal themselves. And that is a beautiful side about Chiron, and why I like bringing up Chiron and working with Chiron. Although it's an asteroid and not a planet, I think it's very important in how it affects our lives on a collective level. Throughout all my years of studying astrology, Chiron has been a very important asteroid in my life and in other people's lives around me, just on an observational level. So this aspect can definitely bring a lot of like harsh conversations. Definitely see which areas of life Leo and Taurus rule in your chart to get a little bit of a deeper understanding of like maybe the topics of these conversations, or what type of subconscious wounds are going to be brought up to the conscious level, surface level, and that you're going to have to deal with. So yeah, definitely could bring some harsh conversations, some kind of facing a shadow self conversation, topics being brought up that you didn't know bothered you, or that you have really, let kind of simmer below the surface in your subconscious mind. And now it's like, oh shit, I have to deal with this now, so that is the vibe. On the next day, on the 10th, there will be a grand air trine in the sky between Venus and Libra, Pluto and Aquarius, and Uranus and Gemini. But at the same time, on the same token, Venus and Libra will be opposing Neptune and Aries at 3 degrees. So a grand trine in the air means that it is a very harmonious time. A lot of planets' energies are flowing very harmoniously and working and communicating very well together. When it's an air trine as well, this could mean that this is a nice time to socialize and connect with other people. This could be a nice time to hang out with friends, or, really connecting with someone, do something on some type of communicative level where you're using communication and mental stimulation. So any type of project, group project, getting together with people, club, organization, like some type of like really gathering together with one another, I think is or will be a nice time. But I will say the Venus opposing Neptune aspect does make me feel a little bit weary, because when there's an opposition, it means that we need to find a balance. People that's in front of you, you could easily be deluded by people. Like if you lean too far into the Neptune-ness, you could be leaning into like more of a rose-colored glasses type of mentality and not seeing people for who they truly are. Especially when Venus is in Libra, we are feeling a little bit more like romantically, like we're just feeling the romance a little bit more. So I can definitely see a lot of people like falling into that rose-colored glasses lens vision, or also like falling into temptation. Like this could be a time where don't cheat. Venus and Libra, they always have temptation and options in front of them. They like keeping options in front of them, okay? And it's hard for them to make a decision too. So that definitely makes it kind of, but also it could bring a little bit of a creator's block as well, Venus opposite Aries. But being that there is a grand air trine in the air, a good way to help, get the creative juices flowing, like what I said, is like gathering around other people, especially people who inspire you. So I think this is a nice like group project, group activity type of day, but definitely be aware of the people in front of you for sure. On the 11th until September 27th, Mars moves into Cancer. So Mars is the planet of our motivation. It is the fire underneath our booties. What motivates us? What makes us get out of bed in the morning? It is our drive and our sexual desires as well. So when Mars is in Cancer, Mars doesn't like being in Cancer, because Mars is about the go, 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 and Cancer is a little bit more moody. It's a little bit more sensitive. It's a little bit more emotional. It's kind of like, I don't really feel like it today. And Mars is like, what the fuck you mean you don't feel like it? Like, we got to get business done. And Mars in Cancer is like, but I'm not in the mood today. All right. So during this time period, our emotions are definitely going to affect our actions and our motivation level. So definitely on a collective level, if we're feeling moody, if we're feeling sad, if we're feeling emotional, it's going to affect our drive. So definitely be aware about that. But also Mars in Cancer is so, and this is why a lot of entrepreneurs are actually Cancers, because when there's an emotional drive or an emotional fuel with something, like you go all in, something that you feel very emotionally tied to, this is actually a great time to work on that, because it is going to be your motivation to really be the best that you can be, really put out the best work and effort that you can. So definitely that is my best piece of advice during this 6-week time period where Mars will be in Cancer, that if there's something that your heart isn't in, lean into what emotionally fulfills you, what your heart, what feeds your heart and your emotions. Cancer also rules things of like home and family matters too. So this could definitely be a time where our motivations are more towards those areas of life, like spending more time with family, doing things around the house, spending more time at home, spending our energy, and more of our energy is going to be towards spending more time with family or people that feel like a family, or building a home or creating a home. And protecting those things as well, protecting your home, protecting your family. So definitely a nice time to do that. But it could also bring, like, just because there's more energy going towards family doesn't mean it's all harmonious. It can bring tension and fights and arguments with family as well. So any type of energy, whether it's like I'm putting more energy and effort into hanging out with my family, or my family's pissing me off, so a lot of my energy is going towards dealing with family matters. Those are like the two sides of Mars and Cancer as well. Also be careful with things breaking down around the house. On the same day, Mercury in Leo opposes Pluto in Aquarius at 3 degrees. So the harsh conversations are continuing. Pluto is a planet of death and rebirth, of transformation. It's dark, it's deep, it's subconscious, and it's power, it's manipulation, it's abuse. So definitely, topics along that as well could be brought up. But with the opposition, it's kind of like it's really, we're being pushed and pulled in two different directions, and in opposition between fixed signs too, stubborn. It's like I'm between a rock and a hard place. It's like I'm talking to someone and they're a brick wall. You're not hearing me, I'm not hearing you, and conversations could feel very tough at this moment around the 11th, August 11th. So definitely be aware of that. But also Mercury will be making a trine to Neptune and Aries as well. So I think moving with empathy and compassion with another person is what's going to save these harsh topics. But definitely be aware of the areas of life that Leo and Aquarius is at in your birth chart. Could give you a little bit more insight about the certain topics that are going to be brought up or could be brought up during this time period. The awareness of needing to find the balance, because right now it's going to feel very stubborn, or it's going to feel like you can't make a decision or you can't come to a compromise right now. But like what I said, Neptune there is really nice. It's kind of softening the blow of this harsh aspect and is reminding us to be a little bit more empathetic and compassion with whatever type of conversation you're having or news you're receiving. On the 12th is the new moon solar eclipse in Leo at 20 degrees. Okay, so this is the first eclipse in Leo of this Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle that's going to be happening until 2028. So there was an eclipse in Aquarius, a new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius back in February. And that was a little bit of a sneak peek of how this Aquarius Leo eclipse cycle is going to, show up for you over the next 2 years. So we did get a little bit of sneak peek of what was happening during that time period, but this is the first new moon solar eclipse in Leo, and now the Leo area of our birth charts is getting activated. New beginnings. Solar eclipses are like new moons on steroids, okay? New moons are usually a time of, setting intentions, of new beginnings, of manifesting, but with that, it is times 10. I will say, I don't really like manifesting under eclipses because the energy that is under an eclipse is so chaotic and uncontrollable that it's like, I don't really like having that in my manifestations. So that is my piece of advice. The last time that there was an eclipse at a similar degree in Leo was August 11th, 2018. And before that, it was August 11th, 1999. So the last time there was a Leo Aquarius eclipse cycle was around 2018, 2019, or I want to say 2017 to 2019. So definitely, astrology is pattern recognition. What was happening in your life during those years? You can start to predict certain patterns or certain things that could be getting brought up for you during this time period. I'm going to use an example of myself. So in 2018, I was in college, but I moved back home and then commuted my last year of college that year, starting 2018 to 2019. I graduated 2019. 2016 and 2017, I lived at college. I moved back home in 2018. Like this month, around that time, I will be moving back home and living with my mom again. So it's just so interesting that was a theme. Summer 2018, I moved back home to live with my mom and help my mom out with some things. This summer, same eclipse, or similar eclipse, I should say, at a similar degree. I'm moving back home to be with my mom again. So these are the types of pattern recognitions about astrology, and by looking back on what was happening on certain time periods of life can help us predict of what's going to be coming forward and towards us during this time period. So with eclipses in Leo, a big thing that's going to be in the spotlight is your identity. Are you being authentically yourself? Are you being true to yourself? Leo gets the rep about being selfish, right? Because it is easier for them to put themselves on that pedestal, to think about themselves, to think about what they want to say, what makes them happy. This new moon solar eclipse is going to emphasize that. What makes you truly happy at the end of the day? How can you bring more contentness into your life by incorporating things that makes your inner child happy? How did you play when you were a child? Leo's also connected to children as well. So children could be in the spotlight as well. How did you used to play when you were a child? What made you happy as a child? These are things to incorporate into your life as an adult now, tapping into your inner child. Leo's also things like entertainment, it's hobbies, it's romance, it's dating, it's celebrity culture, it's fame, it's being in the spotlight, all those types of things. So these are topics that are going to be brought up as well. Like, what are your favorite hobbies? What should you be bringing more romance into your life? Like, how can you genuinely make your life more happy and more content? Being that Leo rules things of like being in the spotlight as well, it's also going to bring up topics like, why do you fear being in the spotlight? Do you fear your voice? Why don't you want to be heard? Why don't you want to be seen? Or on the flip side of it, like, why do you feel like you're not worthy if you're not being seen? Or why do you feel like you're constantly chasing worthiness, or constantly proving yourself, or constantly needing to be the best, because if you're not the best, then you're not worthy. These are topics that are going to be brought up as well, because a dark side about Leo is constantly needing to prove yourself, constantly needing to get other people's approval, when your own approval should be enough. Not really heavy aspects happening under the solar eclipse, but it is opening a new 2-year window of themes in our life. And this is a huge shift, an energetic shift for sure. On the 15th, Mercury in Leo is touching Jupiter at 10 degrees. So this is definitely a better aspect. Thank God, because Mercury in Leo has been going through it since it first entered its sign. And usually it's a more optimistic sign. It's a more sociable sign, but it's been getting hit with Chiron, with Pluto, and it's been getting its ass kicked with dark and deep topics. And now it's, meeting with Jupiter, and Jupiter is a planet of luck and abundance. So definitely finally bringing more optimism. But I will say, this is a cocky aspect. Definitely be careful with what you're saying and what you're spreading, and make sure that the messages and the words that are coming out of your mouth is coming off how you want it to, because this is definitely a cocky aspect. But definitely better messages coming through, better conversations. It feels more light, it feels more funny, it feels more sociable, it just feels better. Touching Jupiter as well. Just be careful with the cockiness, okay? On the 17th, Mars in Cancer squares Neptune in Aries at 3 degrees, and Mercury in Leo trines Saturn in Aries at 14 degrees. So a Mars square Neptune aspect is really tough on our motivation levels. And this could definitely be a time period where our emotions are weighing our actions down, or a time period where we just feel a little lost. So definitely mid-month, we could definitely be feeling a little lost, especially because we are in the tornado of eclipse season. Like, when I think of eclipse season, I think of we are being tossed in a tornado and being whipped around. And then when the eclipse season ends, the tornado stops, but it throws us in a completely different area, and we kind of just have to get up and continue walking on this new path. So August is a tornado month. We are in the eye of the hurricane, okay? We are in the middle of the tornado. We can't really see what's happening. We don't know what's in front of us. We don't know what's coming towards us. We could feel a little bit more lost, and things feeling nebulous. And this aspect right here, Mars square Neptune, is definitely amplifying that and validating that to me as well, because this is a very nebulous type of aspect. It's almost like we are running in quicksand type of thing. Like, I don't know which direction to run in. I don't know what to do. I don't really feel like doing anything. Our energy levels could definitely feel a little bit more depleted as well. A nice thing to help this aspect is doing something in the creative realm. Like, Mars in Cancer is pretty creative, or prioritizing creative things. Like, Mars in Cancer, they like being more creative. They like doing things that is connected to their emotional levels. And Neptune is a creative planet. So this is definitely a nice time to kind of indulge in like creative hobbies or stuff like that, or work on a creative project. That's going to help this aspect. Other than that, we could feel very just like tired, lethargic, lost, confused. And it's a temporary feeling, but it's definitely going to feel very heavy mid-month, being that we are in the middle of eclipse season and just emotions are heightened in general. With the Mercury trine Saturn retrograde though, I do like this aspect a little bit better, because it's kind of like at the beginning of the month when the sun was trining Saturn, and it was that level of optimism and confidence in the self of, you know, conquering this next chapter of life, even if it brings a lot more serious adulting topics. This is kind of validating that, and it's similar energy to that. So although you might feel a little lost, confused, like I don't know where life is taking me or where I'm going right now, there is a little bit more of a sense of optimism too, which is nice as well. That's kind of like, you know, but I am a baddie. I am a bad bitch, and you know, I am capable of conquering anything that comes my way. So I do like that. It could be serious messages being brought to you as well, but the trine there is harmonious. So I do think these are good messages, like getting approved for a house or apartment, getting a promotion, committing to a next step in a relationship, you know, business partnership, you know, things like that. Like I do feel like it's going to feel like adulting, quote unquote, adulting topics that are being talked about or brought up, but it's like good news type of thing, if that makes sense. On the 21st, Venus in Libra opposes Saturn in Aries, retrograde at 14 degrees. So this definitely brings relationship problems, a little bit more of an emphasis of needing to find balance in relationships. This is going to be a time where it's going to be more evident about how much more effort you need to put into compromise in a relationship. I can definitely see a lot of conversations being had like, well, I feel this way. Well, I feel this way. All right, so we want to be together. So what are we going to do about this? Like, what is the compromise here? I do like Venus in Libra because they are not like the most aggressive, and this isn't the most aggressive time period. Like Venus in Libra, people aren't going to be yelling in your face and, you know, being bossy like that. They do prefer more mature conversations, and if anything, they might be a little bit too passive, and that's where they get fucked over too, and that's where they create more problems because you're not speaking your mind and because you are being too passive. So definitely keep that aware as well. Like if there's something that needs compromise, like don't compromise yourself fully, you know, remember your own boundaries as well. That's going to be really important. But yeah, I can definitely see like couples or just relationships in general, friendships, business, work, coworkers, whatever, like you're just not seeing eye to eye with someone. It feels very tough, and there's going to be an extra effort needing to be had to find the compromise here. The next day, the sun in Leo opposes the North Node in Aquarius at 29 degrees. So this is honestly the first aspect that is hitting the new North Node in Aquarius. So this is definitely going to feel like how I've been acting in the past is not going to get me to where I need to be in the future. Any type of opposition to the North Node, because the North Node is an area of life that the universe wants us to focus on now and for the next year and a half. So we're going to be pulled in a different direction now. Depending where Aquarius is in your birth chart, we're going to start being pulled in a completely different direction, whether it's like literally or you're just like having this energetic pull or this feeling of I need to actually be here or focus on this now because it's, you know, the betterment for my own future. But this is a new feeling. There's going to be a lot of growing pains coming with it. And you're going to start realizing like maybe a mentality that you had isn't going to cut it anymore. Maybe some type of ego death needs to be had. Maybe you need to change something aesthetically about yourself. Maybe you need to change something about just like how you've been living your life. Maybe you need to bring more joy into your life. Maybe you need to change up the relationships you have in your life. You know, there's going to be some type of, you're realizing new plots are coming, new characters are coming, a new timeline is coming, and there's going to be old things that need to be left in the past. Later in the day, the sun enters Virgo, so Virgo season is here. Hello, back to school season. Okay, we're gonna start feeling a little bit more organized, a little bit more serious. Our routines are gonna be a little bit more important at this time. It's gonna be a nice time to get down into a routine. I think back to school season being during Virgo season is so the perfect season. Honestly, it just like Virgo season just gives back to school vibes for sure. On the 25th, Mercury in Leo opposes that North Node in Aquarius at 29 degrees. So I do think think that just the kind of topics that were maybe thought about in your brain a few days prior are then going to be talked about or just continued thought about, thinking about more as the days go on as well. Later in the day, Mercury enters Virgo, back to school vibes, times 10. The transition of Mercury in Leo to Mercury in Virgo is optimistic and outgoing and extroverted to a little bit more introverted and pessimistic and internal. Overthinking and anxiety. Mercury in Leo is like, it's like they just talk. Like, it's like they don't have that anxiety fly in their ear. They just kind of like say what they have to say. And then Mercury in Virgo is kind of like, wait, are you sure you want to say that? Is that really what you mean? Wait, what did they mean by that? Anxiety overload, and your mind is just like this. It's thinking about so many things at once and feeling very like scattered brained as well. That's why it's got a nice time to get a routine going. That's why Virgos thrive in a routine, to get that to-do list happening. Just be a little bit more organized. Mercury in Leo is definitely like flirtatious and a little bit more fun, or like prioritizing, fun and banter and gossip and stuff like that. And Mercury in Virgo is thinking a little bit more seriously, thinking about more serious topics, about, money, security, work, and stuff like that, health. So definitely a vibe switch for sure. And Mercury will be in Virgo until September 10th. On the 27th, the Sun meets Mercury in Virgo at 4 degrees, but will also be squaring Uranus and Gemini. So a Sun-Mercury cazimi is a light bulb moment. It's like an aha moment. We could definitely be getting downloads of something. Definitely, I like to journal on days that there are kazimis, because there are a lot of light bulb moments happening, and it's definitely good to keep note of the types of things that come to your brain, the types of conversations that you're having, because it's going to be very random, and it's going to be like, wait a minute. But that's because there's a new start, there's a new type of mentality or new cycle of thinking that needs to be happening in this area of life that Virgo rules in your birth chart. With that square to Gemini, Uranus and Gemini adds to like the impulsiveness or the randomness, sporadicness of how this message is going to be brought to you. But also it could just feel like you're being pulled in a different direction. Like you're getting this idea and you're kind of like, but wait, how is this going to work? Or something so random happened to you, which then causes this aha light bulb moment, if that makes sense. And it could feel kind of tough too, because that square there brings harshness, it brings frustration, it brings obstacles. So there could be some type of frustrating thing, an obstacle in your way, that is the cause of this aha moment under this cazimi. The next day, on the 28th, is the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces at 4 degrees. This is the last eclipse in Pisces of this eclipse cycle. The first eclipse in Pisces happened September 2024. So this is a nice time to reflect on your life from September around, fall time 2024 until now, 2026. How far have you came? What switched up in your life? What kind of things came towards you? How did you change? What's different about you? Take it another step further. What areas of life in your birth chart rule Virgo and Pisces, especially Pisces? This area of life flipped upside down for everyone, okay? Like, what did you learn from that? Because a full moon lunar eclipse is a full moon on steroids, and it's a culmination of events. So it's almost like a closing of a book, closing of a chapter. So this is another reason why it's like a nice time to kind of reflect. It's connected to a new moon. Full moons are always connected to a new moon that happened 6 months prior. So I like to think about what was happening around the new moon that happened 6 months ago, and you can kind of see what kind of topics are going to be brought up around this full moon lunar eclipse at the end of the month, and what type of things are going to like just come into fruition for you, going to start blossoming and growing and like getting some speed on it now. So the new moon happened on March 18th, but this new moon wasn't an eclipse. So I do feel like, although this is the last eclipse in Pisces and it's a full moon lunar eclipse, like I'm not going to sleep on its energetic potency, but it wasn't tied to a solar eclipse. So whatever was started wasn't as energetically fueled or karmic as it would have been if it was connected to a new moon solar eclipse, if that makes sense. I do feel like there's going to be less like chaotic craziness under this full moon lunar eclipse. There's still a lot to be said about it. I think it's still very important. There's still a lot that's happening, but either way, I do feel like this lunar eclipse is going to be pretty energetically tense because it will be opposing Mercury in Virgo at 5 degrees and making a square to Gemini, Uranus and Gemini. So there is a kind of compromise that needs to happen, feeling like you're being just pulled in so many different directions. Lunar eclipses do shine a light on things that need to be worked on or fixed on, or things that have been hidden to us. Like when you think of a full moon in the sky, it illuminates. So under full moons, and especially lunar eclipses, it's going to be illuminating things that were once hidden to you, whether it's like literally a fucking secret or things that maybe you've just been putting off, you've been not wanting to face. Eclipses are going to bring that to light and be like, you need to fucking work on this. You need to fix this in order to move forward. You need to like prioritize this. You need to focus on this. Those are the top types of things that's going to be happening under a lunar eclipse in Pisces. And it's just going to feel more tense because of that opposition in the square. It's going to be like, you know, damn, I need to focus on this, but I need to figure this out first, or maybe I need to move here, or maybe I need to end that relationship, and maybe I need to do this so I can do that. And that's what's going to feel very tense about it, because although it feels like simple, me saying like maybe I need to do this and then do that, it's not going to feel that simple, because it's going to be like, shit, what is the right thing for me to do? All I know is I need to get to point C. Right now I need to figure out point A and point B, but I know point C is my final destination. So what is the best route for me to get there? And that's what this eclipse is going to feel like, I feel like, for a lot of people. I like the trine to Mars in Cancer. If your heart is in something, that is, you need to follow your heart. This is following your heart aspect, 100%. This is out your head and in your heart type of shit. And that's why it's going to feel tense, because it's opposing Mercury in Virgo. That is usually a very head first aspect. Like it's like moving with your head and not so much with your heart. And this eclipse wants you to move with your heart. So it's going to feel like a head versus heart type of vibe under this eclipse for sure. I like the trine to Mars in Cancer because it's showing that by moving with your heart and what emotionally fuels you is going to be the winner. Okay. It doesn't make the choices that you have to make any easier, but I hope by me delivering that news of moving with your heart will be the best way to move during this time. Although you're going to have to make some tough decisions in order to do that. Or sacrifices, I should say. That square there, right, man, like I'm telling you, pressure makes diamonds. It's just harder to predict what's going to happen when Uranus is in play, because Uranus is such a unpredictable planet. It's not good or bad. It's just unexpected. And it's kind of like, okay, what are you going to bring into my life? Like, what types of changes are you going to bring? Especially when Uranus is being activated under an eclipse that's already like unpredictable in itself, because it's very karmic, and it's like we don't know what's coming towards us because it's what the universe wants for us. And then Uranus is there and is like, well, the universe has a funny way of presenting to you what you truly want, and here I am, jokester, bringing you funny ways of presenting it to you. It's very odd. It's random. It's an evil genius, Uranus, and it's just hard to predict. But it does bring like unexpected events or news or whatever into your life that will then be a domino effect of leading you to where you need to be. Doesn't make it any easier. Could feel tough, could feel frustrating, could feel like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah. On the last day, August 31st, Jupiter in Leo trines Saturn retrograde in Aries at 13 degrees. So first things first, I made a point and I wrote connection ? Because if we remember on August 15th, this is when Mercury, the planet of communication, was touching Jupiter. So I feel like topics are similar here. I feel like any type of maybe topic or conversation or like that goodness that was happening mid-month, it could be a continuation of that at the end of the month. And the trine is a harmonious aspect to Saturn. Saturn is a planet of like really wanting to bring foundations and long-lasting things and stability into your life. Like, it's a serious planet. It brings responsibility and maturing and quote-unquote adulting into your life. But the trine here is harmonious, and it's kind of like, I believe in you. Like, you've earned it, babe, okay? Or like, life is about to get a little bit more serious, but that's what's meant for you right now, and you are in alignment, you're in harmony here. But I definitely feel like there's some type of connection to something that was started or a conversation that was had mid-month, and it's going to continue at the end of the month, and you're going to maybe find a little bit more clarity about it, or maybe like get more serious about it at the end of the month. Like, maybe it was just like an idea mid-month, and then at the end of the month it's like, oh shit, we really doing this, like we really serious about this, huh? So yeah, that is the vibe for this month of eclipse season. I'm very curious to know how this month is going to go for a lot of people. This lunar eclipse in Pisces is going to feel heavy for people of the mutable signs of the early degrees. So like 0 to 8 degrees, especially if you have Pisces, Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, 0 to 8 degrees. The lunar eclipse, you're going to feel that the most. For the solar eclipse, if you have anywhere from like 17 degrees to like 24 degrees of the fixed signs, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, you guys are going to be feeling that solar eclipse the most, and this month the most. So wishing you all the best. Remember, let go and flow this month. I'm very curious to know how the rest of the month is going to go. Definitely keep me updated. If you're watching the YouTube version, feel free to comment and keep me updated and let me know. Thank you guys for supporting, listening, and watching. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.